And continuing on the OEL front, Freeman did say that the Coyotes asked Oliver Ekman-Larsson to expand his no trade clause past Boston and Vancouver, and he said no. Hilarious. He's right.
Yeah.
And when it comes to dealing with both these teams, of course, Vancouver seems to be more eager to get the deal done than Boston to get OEL. But apparently Arizona seems to like the Bruins prospects more. So I guess let's talk about Vancouver, because we all know that they are a team that is against the cap. And let's just say, for the sake of it, if this deal happens, Louis Eriksson has to go the other way. You're still gaining more cap space, on top of still having to re-sign Markstrom to Foley, and then still all your young guys are due over the next either next year or this year. I believe it was Jeff Merrick might have said this, or it was Brian Burke on Hockey Central. Vancouver aren't really the team. I know you said they're on the up, Daniel, but they don't strike me as the kind of team to be making this kind of move, especially when you still have to pay your core very, very soon.
Mm-hmm. I agree with. Here's where I agree with that. Because you have to give up assets to get this player, I think it's a kind of a dangerous game to play. But if Oliver, and I know this is a very big but if Oliver Ekman-Larsson is a free agent, I think we're having a different story. We're having a different conversation, because now you don't have to give up, you're going to have to give up some type of asset, whether it's another first round pick, whether it's Brock Besser, whether it's Virtanen, Gaudette, and whoever else. You're going to have to give up assets to get this player. In free agency, all you're giving up is cap space, and I think you're at that point, there's going to be other moves that Jim Benning could make to build around that. That's why I think it's a good addition to build on for next year. I'm just not a fan of how they would have to go and do that.
Daniel, the man.
Yeah, I kind of agree that it's something that could kind of help them as they keep coming on the up and up. It's just, it's the thing about, the hardest part is starting, really knowing what that kind of deal would look like. How would you kind of bring him in, and how you kind of work around the money? We've talked about that 12 million block of contracts that the Canucks kind of have with Eriksson, Beagle, and Roussel, and how you kind of move around that and who you're going to pay. And it's a kind of thing where I see also the Oilers, where they feel they are right now to kind of make that step. I know he's not on the list, but it's something where I kind of see they really have to analyze where are we right now and how are we going to contend, because to me it reminds me of the Blackhawks, where they kind of felt that we have these guys on the up and up. Cam Barker didn't make it, but Seabrook, Keith, Taves, Kane, they had these guys, and then when that was already established, which I think in Vancouver it's happening now, they went out and got Marian Hossa, they got the Brian Campbell, they got these guys where they felt that they could really contend. And I remember it was James Myrtle talking about how this Canucks team reminds him of the 08, the 09 Blackhawks, that they're probably gonna have cap trouble now, but it's something that they're gonna have cap trouble later, but it's something that they view that there's gonna be a window there.
I just wanted to get before we move on, a very quick thought. Frank Saravelli of TSN reported that it's been believed that the Bruins offered Torrey Krug sort of take it or leave it 6-year deal worth $39 million. That would be a AAV of $6.5 million. When I saw that, I think you guys did talk about it last episode.
Yeah.
But that's pretty fair. That's a really, really fair deal to me. I just wanted to mention, he could probably get maybe towards 7 on the open market. But geez, I thought, given the culture of that team, I think you mentioned this, Daniel, I thought he would have stayed for that. And I would think, especially if they lose him and Chara, why Boston wouldn't be more like, okay, we need to do something about the left side of the defense. And I don't think, and I do think Oliver Ekman-Larsson would probably be a big step in that direction too. So I don't. That was weird to me. That was very, very weird.
I have a question.
Shoot.
And here's the thought process for me. You're gonna give Torrey Krug 6.5, and then if he doesn't accept it, you're gonna go trade for a defenseman who makes 8.25. Even if you pay, okay, let's say he wants $7 million, hypothetically. You're not going to pay him $7 million, but then go out and trade for Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who makes 8.25.
For what is it, 7 more years, so about the same term?
Yeah.
That's silly. It is.
Right. And you're probably going to have to give up Jake DeBrusk. Like, I would be very surprised if the idea is that they like Boston's prospects better. And I guess Jake DeBrusk necessarily isn't a prospect anymore, but he is still a young player who's coming off an entry-level deal. I would be very surprised if Jake DeBrusk is not involved in that deal.
God, I hate that idea of giving it to Jake DeBrusk. He is I just had and I don't mean to pull the heartstrings of Leafs fans, but after he scored the Game 7 goal where Jake Gardiner took the body and then Freddie led in the weak goal, of him going past the bench and pulling on the Bruins logo, I mean, that is a Bruins player. I think they'd be so silly to give him up.
Yeah.